Here in the I button and in description box below, you will get the complete playlist of complex numbers. Welcome to video number 2 of complex numbers, where we are going to study a new topic, that is algebra of complex numbers. Basically, when you have two complex numbers, then how to find the addition of two complex numbers, subtraction of two complex numbers, multiplication and division of complex numbers. We will see in detail. So let us start. Suppose you have two complex numbers, that is, let z1 equals to x1 plus I y1 and z2 equals to x2 plus I times y2 be the two complex numbers. We have two complex numbers, that is z1 and z2. z1 equals to x1 plus I times y1 and z2 equals to x2 plus I times y2. Okay. So first we will try to find the addition of two complex numbers. So addition of two complex numbers. Okay. Suppose we are finding z1 plus z2. Okay. So what is z1? That is x1 plus I times y1. Again plus z2, that is x2 plus I times y2. Okay. Now what we can do is, in the next step, simply add both the real part and this imaginary part separately. Okay, that is x1 plus x2. This is the real part of this addition of this complex number, plus I times, what is this, that is y1 plus y2. So here we have y1 plus y2. Okay, by this way we can add two complex numbers. Now coming to the second part, that is subtraction of two complex numbers, that is subtraction of two complex numbers, that is z1 minus z2. Okay, so what is z1? That is x1 plus I times y1 minus z2, that is x2 plus I times y2. Okay, now if you open this bracket, yes, x1 minus x2 will be the real part of the subtraction of this, that is z1 minus z2. Okay, here we have I times y1 and here we have minus of I times y2. So if we take I common, here we have y1 minus of y2. This is what? This is subtraction of these two complex number, that is z1 minus z2. Okay, suppose you want to find z2 minus z1. In that case, you will find x2 minus x1 plus I times y2 minus y1. Okay, fine. Now coming to the third part, that is multiplication of two numbers, two complex numbers. Third part is multiplication. Multiplication of two complex numbers. So we are finding z1 into z2. Okay. What is z1? That is x1 plus I times y1. And what is z2? That is x2 plus I times y2. Okay. Now we can open this bracket, which is very simple, x1 into x2, x1 into x2, x1 into I times y2, that is I into x1 y2, again plus I times x2 into y1, I times x2 into y1, plus I into I square, y1 y2, y1 I square, y1 y2. Fine. Now this is as it is, that is x1 x2. Okay, this is I times x1 y2 plus I times x2 y1. What is I square? I square is minus 1. So we can write this as minus of y1 y2. Here we can write, since I square is equals to minus 1. Okay, this is, since this is I square. Okay, and I square is what? This is minus 1. Fine. Now we can take real part and imaginary part. Okay, we can write real part and imaginary part separately. So this is x1 x2 minus y1 y2. This will be my real part, that is x1 x2 minus y1 y2. Now here we have I times x1 y2 plus I times x2 y1. This is the imaginary part. So we can take I common. Okay, so this is going to be x1 y2 plus x2 y1 x2 y1. Okay, so you can memorize this formula. Okay, if you find this easy. Otherwise, by this method we can multiply any two complex numbers. Okay, so I hope up to this point everything is clear to you. Now coming to the fourth part, that is division. Division of two complex numbers. So coming to the fourth algebra of complex number, that is division. Okay, so here we are finding z1 upon z2. What is z1? That is x1 plus I times y1 upon x2 plus I times y2. In such case, what we need to do is we need to look after this denominator part, and we have to multiply numerator and denominator with the conjugate complex number of this bottom denominator part. Okay, let me write this. That is x1 plus I times y1 upon x2 plus I times y2. Now here we are multiplying numerator and denominator with the complex, the conjugate of this denominator, that is x2. Here we have positive sign, so we will write here negative sign. I times y2 upon x2 minus I times y2. Okay, whenever we are finding the division of any two complex numbers, in that case we need to multiply numerator and denominator with the conjugate of denominator part. Okay, so here we have x2 plus I y2, so we are multiplying this numerator and denominator with x2 minus I y2 upon x2 plus I y2. Okay, so now we can multiply. Okay, so this is going to be, or multiplying the numerator part, you will get x1 x2 minus, this is x1 I y2, so I x1 y2, this into this, that is plus I x2 y1 x2 y1, and here we have minus, plus minus minus I square, this is y1 y2 y1 y2. Now coming to the denominator part, what is this? That is x2 plus I y2 into x2 plus minus I y2. So here we are getting the formula like a plus b into a minus b. What is the formula of a plus b into a minus b? That is a square minus b square. So this is going to be x2 square minus I, okay, I square y2 square, or you can write I into y2 whole square. Okay, fine. Now this is this I square, this I square is what? This is minus 1. Here we have written, that is the value of I square is minus 1, so we can write this as x1 x2. Here we have I square, that is minus 1, so minus minus will become positive, so we can write that is plus y1 y2. Okay, now coming to this part, so we can write this as I, this is positive, this is negative, so writing this in the first term, that is x2 y1 minus x1 y2 x1 y2. Okay, whole upon, here we have x2 square, and here we have y2 square. Here we have negative sign, and here we have I square, so I square is minus 1, so minus minus will become positive. Okay, I'm repeating this once again. X2 square, this is y2 square. Here we have negative sign, but here we have I square. So what is the value of I square? That is minus 1. Minus minus will become positive. So here we can write x2 square plus y2 square. Okay, now we can separate these two terms so that we will get the real part and imaginary part. So here we can write this as x1 x2 plus y1 y2 whole upon x2 square plus y2 square plus I times, we can put this in bracket, I times, here we have x2 y1 minus x1 y2 upon this x2 square plus y2 square. Okay, now we can say this is the formula for division of two complex number, that is z1 upon z2. Okay, by this way, if you remember this formula, then it is okay. Otherwise, by using this rule, you can find the division of any two complex numbers. Okay, thank you so much.